Hello everyone, you are welcome to our channel. My name is Eric Nelma Cranche. If today is the first time you are coming to our page, our channel, I would like you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and put us on post notifications so that whenever we upload lessons, you will be notified. So today we want to look at something that is very critical to most of us, that is preparing for an interview. We know that it's difficult to come by jobs these days, and so when you are shortlisted for a job interview, you know that it's a great achievement that you need to celebrate. It could be a job interview, it could be an interview for school admission, or even for a visa application. And so today we want to go through series of steps or tips that will help you ace your interview with ease. So let's get into it. Yes. Having received your application materials like the CV or resume, your job application letter, having gone through maybe aptitude test and series of tests just to shortlist a few people for very few very competitive jobs. Now it's the time for them to verify if the person on paper is the same as the person in person. And so that's the essence of the interview, to try to strike a balance between the person who applied for the job on paper and the person who is seated right in front of us. Sometimes the difficulty we have about preparing for interviews is not really about the interview per se, but it's about our notion of what an interview is supposed to be like. Now we make it look like there is that asymmetrical power relation between the panel or whoever is going to interview you, and that person or those people are way up here and then you are down there. And so by virtue of our psychological thinking, we think we are beneath them, and so we are going to beg for a job. That's not what interviews are supposed to be like. In a sense, of course, they are giving you the job, but it doesn't mean that you should enter the interview room with that inferiority complex. You need to acknowledge that indeed, fine, there is that formality scale that you are going to seek out a job from some people, and so that respect, that recognition and acknowledgement should be there, but it shouldn't affect the way you carry yourself about. And so these tips will consider the three steps when it comes to preparing for an interview. The first one has to do with the pre or before you go for the interview, what do you have to do? And then the second one is on the day of the interview, what do you do? If you are seated in front of the panel, what do you have to do? Are there any tips and tricks that you can implement in order to ace the interview? Of course, yes. There are so many of them that we have in store for you. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, this might be the good time for you to subscribe, because we have a lot of juicy stuff, especially this and so many other aspects of learning the English language that would be of benefit to you. And then the third stage has to do with after the interview, what are you expected to do? Oftentimes you hear from us, and sometimes we never hear from them. So what do we do? Do we just move on with our lives, or we should still be looking back to getting some feedback from them? So our this episode is section based on the before, during, and then after, in terms of how you prepare for the interview. So let's get straight into it. So before you attend the interview, the first thing that is important for you to always have is for you to do a thorough background check of the company that you are interviewing with. Of course, it is common knowledge that you need to know at least what the company is about. It doesn't mean you should know everything about the company, because that's practically impossible. There are some companies that you find information about them on the internet. Um, Other people they don't have any internet visibility, and so you wouldn't be able to find some or any information about them. Other people, you would have to go to the site or to the organization, and if it's possible to have a few people to have engagement with, you can solicit some information about the company. Other times too, there are people who have worked there that you know that you can actually make inquiries about. I've had a couple of people uh, talk to me about uh, interviewing for a job that I used to have, and they would often ask questions about what is it like, what do we do, what should the person know, and all that. So it's important for you to have at least some background knowledge about the company, the mission, the vision of the company, if it's possible. If the company deals with any other companies, it's important for you to know at least something about the workings of the company. It gives you that kind of confidence and morale boost to be able to sit in front of people to tell them what they do, sometimes that they may not even be cognizant with. And so you don't have to go to the interview room with no knowledge about the company. It's one, it ruins your confidence. It's a psychological disincentive because you cannot say that you don't know anything about the company that you have applied for the job with. So yeah, that's the first thing that you have to note, that you need to do some background check. At the preparation stage, in the first tip, you still need to do a lot of work when it comes to gathering or preparing your application materials. So you need to have, oftentimes they ask about your original document, but always note that original documents are for you. You don't have to give them out if you don't have any hope that you would have them back. And so it's always important to have original documents and photocopied versions of all your documents that are that you use to apply for that specific job. If there are certificates or any other documents which are not relevant for the specific position that you are applying for, you don't necessarily have to include it, unless of course the um, submission or the interview guidelines provide explicit documents that you have to bring to the interview. So, yes, after doing a background search about the company, what they do, you need to also research on what your job would be like, right? So, your duties and responsibilities, you need to have an idea about what you are going to be doing. And then you need to gather your documents, prepare them, package them very well so that you look smart. You don't have to be cluttered, so that if you are asked for to show any certificates now, you'll be rummaging through your files just to find one document. You need to arrange them in a very nice manner so that you look smart whenever you are asked to pull anything up. Then again, you need to know the location of the interview. You don't want to be stranded on the day of the interview. And so part of your preparation process is to know where the company is so that you plan your route, whether you're going to walk, whether you're going to um, take a public transport, whether you're going to drive, whether you're going to join a train or something, right? So you need to know the location of the company so that you prepare ahead of it. You don't want to be stranded on a day like your interview date. And so always plan to arrive at the location at least 20-30 minutes before the interview time. It gives you the opportunity to relax. People think that there is this conception about formal time and informal time. And so if we say the interview is at 5 o'clock, for people who deal with formal time, it is 5 o'clock, right? Other people would think, okay, so I can be late, and then because they're not going to start early, you don't want to be having those thoughts on a day like your interview day. So always plan to arrive at least 15 minutes, 20 minutes to time, so that you get to acclimatize yourself with the environment, or if there are any bureaucratic things you need to do, like signing your name, or being allocated a place to sit, or to sit at a waiting room. All those could feed into the 15 minutes or 20 minutes that you spend, right? If it's 10 o'clock, you don't have to get there at 10 o'clock. You'll be terrified because you are in a hurry to get in, and sometimes it just throws you off balance. So it's always important for you to just get in there at the right time, be on time, be in time, any of them. Just make sure you have some time to prepare for yourself. Then, having done all these preparatory stuff, now it's important to carry yourself into the interview room. And so we move to step two of the process, which is also as equally important as the first step that we talked about. Now you've been ushered in to the interview room. Many cultural dispositions indicates that if you haven't been offered a seat to sit down, you don't sit. It is cultural. It is not. I mean, no matter how you look at it, if somebody comes to your home and you haven't offered the person a seat and the person sits down, you have this notion about the training of the person or the orientation of the person. So it works also at an interview place where you need to be ushered a seat before you sit, right? And then your usual thank you is always a way to show that you are polite and all that. Yeah. And so even before you enter the room, as part of your preparations, we should have talked about how you look, how you smell. Appearances are very important. You can be of good quality, but if you don't project yourself well in terms of how you look, you would be misconstrued or read wrongly. And so it's always important for you to look sharp for your interview. It doesn't mean you should dress ostentatiously. It's about you looking your very best. If it's because it's a formal occasion for guys, if you tuck in or you put on a tie or a jacket, a suit, everything is fine, right? You just need to look good and smell good. Appearances and smell are always key when it comes to interacting with people, right? And so you've been ushered a seat. Now it is important for you to show that you are confident. So maintain eye contact. Different cultures have different interpretations about eye contact, but for the most people, they think you are telling the truth when you are looking them in the eye, even though others think it is impolite to do so. For a formal interview session, it is important for you to maintain eye contact so that you look deep into the people's eyes, engage them so that they know that you're not fidgeting or you're not paying attention, right? And so it's important to maintain that eye contact. When it comes to answering questions, if you do not hear a question, please, and please again, you need to ask for the question to be repeated. Let me reiterate this because so many people have answered questions that they didn't really understand the question or they couldn't hear the question properly. And so they answer the question based on just the mishearing. So kindly ask that the question be repeated and make sure you don't do this often. So it's important for you to pay attention, right? And then ask for the question to be repeated. Then you need to be vocal because you want to speak to the hearing of everybody. Your body posture, your body movement, how you even sit down, how you shrug. You shouldn't send out a message to read like you are not really interested in the job, or you don't really care much about what is happening, or you don't want to be there. In the first place, you are there because you want to be there. Even if you're not interested in the job anymore, once you are there, you need to show that commitment in terms of how you carry yourself, your non-verbal cues, how you carry yourself, your tone of voice, your pitch, your volume, how you address people. You need to be respectful, you need to be polite. All these are key elements that you need to always have in mind. And so some people come out of the interview room, they think they did really well because they were able to answer the questions appropriately. Sometimes it's not only about appropriateness, it's also about effectiveness. Were you able to answer the questions just based on the knowledge, or based on how you apply, based on how you carry all other things with the knowledge, right? So what you carry together with the knowledge has to do with your attitude, your behavior, your tone of voice, your posture, your aptitude, right? All these are very important as well. And so if you haven't been asked a question, just sit down and then be focused, right? Sometimes they want to test your patience, your aptitude, to see how you react to different situations. When you are being angered, how are you going to respond? When you are excited, how do you respond, right? And so it's also a way to test your temperament and how you are able to withstand things that you don't like, right? So these are some tips that you need to have in mind during the interview. Now, to the most critical part, we would have a separate video about answering specific interview questions. For example, tell us about yourself. This is one of the questions that often, it sounds so easy, but it's always difficult to answer. And so we would have a separate video where we talk about specific interview questions. But for this one, we are talking generally about tips that would help you to pass your interview. And then moving on to the last part of the interview, having you done all that you could, having answered all the questions as much as you can, now is the time to close the whole chapter on the interview. Now you need to appreciate or thank them for inviting you for the interview. It's always important to show appreciation for opportunities that we are given. Now, it's important to keep a contact of that company or that organization that you'll be making frequent checkups with regard to the decision of the board or of the recruitment agency, whether your application has been successful or you need to try again and all that. Most companies do not do well in this regard. They do not communicate anything anymore with you once they have made a decision that they are not going to hire you. But you need to always be in the loop. Just try to call to find out if there is any update on the application process. Sometimes your persistence and your consistency in finding out if the whether you've been employed can actually ring a bell to them that indeed you are interested in the job, you are very particular about it and all that. Other times too, it could be misread as you are being too in our face, and so it could also be read negatively. And so you would want to strike a balance between being persistent and being troublesome, right? And so it's always good to strike a balance over there. So these are some tips that we think can help you ace your interview, because it's important for you to um, pass your interviews, because it's the icing on the cake after going through series of processes, from applying for the job, taking aptitude test, going through series of shortlisting and all that. And so once you get an interview, it's an opportunity for you to show that indeed you deserve the job. Right. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please like, comment, and share this post, and subscribe to our lessons, to our YouTube channel, and put us on post notifications, so that whenever we upload a lesson, you'll be notified. So thank you. We'll see you again. Thank you. Bye bye.